If things couldn't get any better around the situation out in Oxford, boy, has it gotten so already. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another great, fantastic episode of Inside the Huddle. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Our boy Jake Crane hopping back on with us once again. Last time we talked to him, it was during the semifinals earlier in the day. And man, we have had quite a couple of weeks ever since that all happened. Guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that you also are sharing with those friend groups. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're watching us on Instagram, make sure that you give us a follow at Lucas_Hill_17 so that you are notified every time we post a brand new video or a live show on there. Extremely excited to have our boy Jake Crane on here. If you're watching us always with probably our best audience on X, make sure you give us a holler at Lucas_Hill23 and make sure that you are also tuned in. Guys, make sure you turn on those bell notifications. Make sure that you are notified every time we end up going live. All right. So, we'll get more of Daddygate on the side. I'm sure I'll have Jake's going to come on and probably talk a little bit about it. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the combine today. So that's the first address. So when you look at Travis Hunter and the amount of publicity that he's getting at the combine compared to other media days, it's ridiculous. Like, it's unbelievable to see how much publicity this kid is getting, and because of just what he is bringing. I mean, you're talking about one of the great two-way stars in all of the NFL. I mean, it's impressive to me. And what he will do in the near future with what his future is going to bring, I don't know, man. We'll see. We will see. More around college football. So Tyler Warren had a formal meeting with the Chicago Bears at the NFL Combine, 6'6", 257. If you pair him along with Caleb Williams, think about what this offense is going to look like. But at the same time, you also have to address the offensive line. Chicago, you got to get a star offensive lineman, bro. Like, I understand it's a guy. Look, believe me, I understand with what you're bringing in with a guy like Tyler Warren at tight end. But at the same time, guys, you have to be real and address the situation. You have to address what is going on currently. My God, my Wi-Fi. But I think the biggest thing that you could potentially see at number 10, you could definitely go for an offensive lineman, but O-line this year is very, very thin. O-line is probably the thinnest it's been in a while. And it's unbelievable to see this because there is just so much with what the offensive line room is looking like. And it's incredible. But I think when you really think about what this college football season or what this looks like, it's pretty sad to see where the offensive line room looks like because there's no real standout offensive lineman this year. Yes, you know about Kelvin Banks. We know about what Will Campbell brings to the table. But apart from that, who else can you really say is worthy of a top-tier offensive line? That's really a bit. Membu from Missouri, big-framed guy. Guy has a lot of potential. Was unfortunate that I didn't get to watch him at the Senior Bowl because I was really looking forward to it. I was really looking forward to looking at a guy like that in the Senior Bowl. And I didn't get that because he just wasn't healthy. And it's that because there's a lot that you could really bring because of that. And I think with a guy like Kelvin Banks and what he's going to bring to the table as an offensive lineman, I think that any other team in the top 10 would be fortunate to grab a guy like that. And I think he is the best interior offensive lineman in college football. And I think he's going to translate that to the next level. Now 6'4", 320 pounds. I think that if he can lose a bit more, about 5 or 10 pounds of body fat, the guy has a legit opportunity to be a staple on the offensive line. And I think that what he is going to bring as an offensive lineman is incredible. It's been a while since you've seen a dominant tight end or a dominant offensive tackle that just takes over games like Kelvin Banks does. It really is. So, that's another thing that we need to address at the there's a lot of first-round talent that's not participating. So, according to Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, Mike Green will not work out at the combine because of hamstring tightness. Okay. It doesn't seem to make sense to me because of all of that. And honestly, if you are a first-round draft selection, and if you're projected to be a first-round draft pick, and you are a guy that is going to skip the combine, honestly, go for it. If you are a projected first-round draft pick and you really don't have anything to do, why bother working out? Why? Only certain guys are going to work out at the combine. Shador's not working out. I don't think Travis Hunter is going to work out. It wouldn't surprise me if he does. It's been a while that we've seen somebody of his caliber work out in the combine. Yeah, he's not going to do any of the drills at the combine. He's going to wait until his pro day. Look, what's the point of going to the combine? The only thing that's really noteworthy of it is media days. That's it. If you think that anything else is worthy, if you think there's any other value of going to the NFL combine, you're wasting your time. Because for real, what is the point of just participating in the combine if you're not even going to work out? Just go there for media days. That's it. And then go there for individual meetings with your teams. That's it. Get your height and weight in, get your measurements, and then go. That's it. That's all you were going to do. I mean, my God, why even bother? Because it just doesn't make sense for you to continue to work out and to continue to do any of that, you know? It just doesn't make sense for guys just to go there, go be the number one pick. Abdul Carter's not going to work out. He's not going to work out. I'm trying to think of who else. Jalen Walker, I don't know if he's going to play in the or participate in the combine. I'm not sure. It would, if he does, it definitely would not surprise me. But guys, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, they're not going to. Yeah, Jalen's not going to participate. Neither is Michael Williams. But honestly, who is surprised? Again, if you are a projected first-round draft pick, you're going to be wasting your time participating in the drills and participating in the workout at the combine. It just doesn't seem to make sense to participate in that situation because you're just making your status worse. You're risking your chances of injury. It's going to hurt you at the end of the day. So my only thing is, if you participate, just go. Don't go for it, please. Don't be like that. I mean, it's I don't know, man. It just makes no sense for me to just go to it. If I'm an NFL draft pick and I'm a projected first rounder, I'm not working out. I'm not risking my ass. I'm staying at the house. If you want to do media days, hop on a Zoom link. Hey, somebody hop on. But anyways, guys, that's just my 2 cents. To me, it just doesn't make sense for guys to even go to Indianapolis. You're not really paying that much to go anyway. You're getting paid to go fly out there for it anyway. So, all right, UFL news going on right now. This is quite interesting to me. So I don't know if you guys saw this. So all 24 quarterbacks did not attend the quarterback minicamp this week in protest of bargaining discussions between the league and the players union, according to James Larson. The UFLPA and the UFL had been in discussions to improve player treatment heading into year 2. The discussions surrounded an increase in salaries and better healthcare provision. Players are still going to report to training camp today and this weekend. So this was the letter that got sent. Dear Rustin, Brandon, and Daryl Johnson, we have been paying close attention to this offseason's collective bargaining negotiations. The proposal our Players Association received on Thursday was unacceptable and insulting. We, all of the quarterbacks in the UFL, have collectively decided to not attend the UFL quarterback training camp this weekend in Arlington, Texas, in protest of that proposal and the message it sent to us as players. Okay. I mean, here's my thing about this. Is that, do I think it's a big deal? Not really. To me, it just doesn't. I don't see it becoming a huge deal to me. I could be wrong. Believe me, I could be dead freaking wrong. But you're talking about a team that, or a league that is broke. Okay? But the UFL dug themselves into a hole at the beginning of this. And I talked about this with our good friend Arlington Lane over at the A-Train show with the Fuel Sports Network. He's a UFL insider. And what has the UFL done to promote their brand? That's my thing. What have you done to put yourself in a position to really be better and really promote your brand? You haven't done a thing. You haven't done a thing. You have screwed yourself like you would not believe. You did the merger with the USFL and the XFL. That's great. Cool. But what good has come out of it? Sure, people are loving the thing. I love the UFL. I love going to the games. But at the same time, the UFL has not done a lot to provide for its guys, to give them better treatment. Guys, they're playing in college stadiums. It's not the best place to play. I don't know where these dudes practice. I don't know where they do training camp. I don't know any of that. I'm blissfully ignorant at this. So it just mind boggles me that you're going to complain about this, but at the same time, what are you really going to do about it? I mean, you're protesting. What good is it going to do? It's not really going to do a whole lot. I hate to tell you that. It's not going to do a whole lot for you. So whether you like it or not, the UFL put themselves in a situation when they did the merger. You took a league that was lacking in attendance and you took a league that was lacking in funds. You brought them together. You thought something good was going to come out of this. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition. So whatever you do, the protesting, go for it. I don't care. You're still going to training camp. Who cares if you don't go to this mini camp anyway? Holy cow, we got fancy. All right, let me go ahead and take a quick break real fast, and we'll get Jake Crane up in here.
Are you a music producer, DJ, or just someone who loves to remix tracks? Well, say goodbye to messy, low-quality track separations and hello to vocalbreaks.com. the most powerful AI-driven music editing tool on the market. Unlike other separation tools, Vocal Breaks harnesses the most advanced AI model available, delivering crystal clear vocals, pristine instrumentals, and an unmatched precision, all online with no software required. You can extract vocals or instrumentals with studio quality accuracy. It's perfect for remixes, mashups, karaoke, and music production, and for a faster, cleaner, and more reliable than any other service. So if you want the best, don't settle for less. Go on over to vocalbreaks.com and use code LucasHill10 now and experience the full future of AI-powered music editing. That's vocalbreaks.com using code LucasHill10.
Jake Crane in the building today. Jake, what's up, man?
What is up, dude? Good to be back, man. How you living?
It's hot up in here. That's all I can just tell you. Look, winter only lasts in Louisiana for like 4 weeks, and then boom, we're back to it being in the 70s and 80s. But
well, I'll say this: I coached up in Montana. I promise you, I'll take that 10 out of 10 over some of the winter weather and the wind. That's what people don't understand. Like, the temperature's one thing, but if you've ever lived in a really cold place, it's the wind that gets you. It's the worst. Dude. Oh, dog! It's like getting slapped in the face.
Did you ever go hiking up in the mountains there?
No, they tried to get me to do it one time. I treated the Montana wilderness like I would Australia. I'm not going too far in the woods or too far in the water. That's not what we got out of the food chain for a reason. I'm not trying to go in there and get some answers.
Jake, we're getting fancy up in here. Y'all are in the studio already. Y'all about to record in a little bit?
Well, actually, we just got done. We're putting out our locker room talk show today at 2 p.m. Central, hoping to get that done and edited and gone by then. We talked, about a little bit of everything. I'm sure about something we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Oh, I'm sure. Dude, if Daddygate couldn't get any crazier, here we are, man. Part of me did not want to talk about this initially when it first came out because you don't know. It's a he said, she said type of deal. But you posted the update on it, and basically, to summarize it, they say that it never happened, that this was supposedly a frat prank or something like that. I don't really know the whole ordeal about it, but for those of you that are not really aware of the impending situation, which I'm sure most of us have heard of it, but if you've been living under a rock, someone's girlfriend allegedly slept with a boyfriend's dad, allegedly. And this has created a whole ordeal, which has been burning up the SEC Twitter pages and everything in between. So, Jake, my question to you is the dad friends with Lane Kiffin?
Well, we did a whole deep dive into this situation. And you are right. The word allegedly needs to be used. None of it's confirmed to be true. She did come out and say, and her family came out and said that it was a cyber attack and that it's not true and the categories are false and they've got people investigating it or whatever. So I'm not saying whether it's true or whether it's not. But what I did was play the hypothetical game. All right. Hypothetically, if it was true, and again, I'm not saying it is, what would the boyfriend have to do? What are your options at this point? Because it's a really messed up situation.
Yes.
So I got 6 things here that if this was true, which again, it has not been confirmed to be true, it is all alleged, that if it happened to me, what I would do. 1, take steroids. Like, you got to get huge, man. Like, because they're going to be trashing you from all sides. You got to be able to walk in the room and basically look like the Hulk. Second thing you could do, study abroad. Never been a better time to go finish college in Italy. What, is your dad not going to give you the money after what allegedly happened? 3, and to me, this would probably be the most even way to go about it. You got to hook up with her mom. I mean, it's got even Stevens. I mean, sometimes you got to go an eye for an eye and get medieval. Then 4, start a boy band that takes off. I mean, sometimes you got to try and backstreet this thing. Nobody gets more chicks than those guys. And the last 2, number 5, fight your dad in the octagon on pay-per-view, and you have to win. But then you go back to 1, take steroids that'll help you out. And then 6, and my brother came up with this one, just become Amish, man. Like, they're the only people that don't know about it. Go live on a farm, churn some butter. Become friends with a goat. I don't know. Like, I just think those are your only options.
What about witness protection program?
I mean, man, you could change your name, I guess, but like they're going to fine you. Like and again, like I guess in Italy and France, that's not really that frowned upon as it is here. Maybe it's not a big deal over there. I don't know, but I don't want to have to go through the whole, start over, change my name. I'm trying to find better solutions than that.
Hey, plastic surgery. It's we got Trump in office, so maybe wages will go up and he can get plastic surgery, so he don't have to look like. What is the boyfriend's name? Evan.
Yeah, his name is Evan, I believe. As far as the plastic surgery, I mean, you're going to Ole Miss. Y'all got money. Like you're not playing QB or dribbling a basketball. You got money.
Oh my gosh! Wow, I don't think I've seen something this crazy in a while when it comes to this. Have you ever heard anything around, not just around the collegiate athletic field or just college in general, where something like this was happening?
I'm going to be honest. I've never seen this specific instance before. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff. I've seen people cheat on people. I'm watching Bill Belichick run around with like a 22-year-old or whatever. So, I mean, the guy from Big Daddy with the 5-year plan who worked at Hooters, he did his thing. But if this is true, and again, it's alleged, this is diabolical, man. Like this is But I will say, like, this was a Tuesday on Jerry Springer back in the day. I mean, this was the headline in the show. I mean, I'm sure if this is true, I'm always going to be on Dr. Phil at some point. I'm hurting for him.
We need Maury up in here. We need Maury to convert into Jerry Springer.
Like, he needs to get neuralized for Men in Black. This is just going to be a tough one to forget. Christmas is canceled for sure.
I wonder if they still keep in I wonder how conversations are at the dinner table, if he even is still at home.
Oh, look, and again, if it's not true, like if it was me and I was the dad, I'd be telling everybody it wasn't true. I ain't heard a word from this guy. So, like, to me, I mean, if it's not true, it's probably still awkward at the dinner table that this happened. But if it is true, there isn't a dinner table. Like, I'm getting Chick-fil-A and staying at Rodney's house.
Jake, NFL Combine is this weekend. So my buddy College Football Headlines put out a list of guys that are not doing drills at the Combine. Shador Sanders, Mike Green, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Elijah Arroyo, Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, Ashton Jeanty, Colston Loveland, Siobhan Ravel Jr. Mm-hmm. And then you have Michael Williams, and I think Jalen Walker's not participating. Jake, I've come to this conclusion. If you are a first-round draft pick, and if you just decide, if you have a settlement where, all right, I know I'm going to get drafted here, I know it's a guarantee, I'm not going to the NFL Combine. I'm just doing media days, and I'm getting the hell out of Indianapolis. Am I crazy for seeing this becoming a regular trend now with dudes with just first-round talent just not even being in the Combine in general?
Well, it's happened before. I mean, you look at Peyton Manning, you look at some of these other guys. It's not like this hasn't happened before, but you're seeing more of it now. And look, I'm somewhat of an old soul. Like, I'm old, so I like, the kind of the old school way of doing things. But I totally understand this. Like, we would never frown on any other profession if you had a similar scenario and you felt like, hey, this could really only hurt my prospects. Now, you never really know what's going to happen in the draft. But look at Shador, for example. If you had a class that was 6-7 deep at quarterback like we had last year, it would probably make sense for you to go work out, make sure you show everybody to take advantage of that. But, you're one of the top 2, top 3 quarterbacks in this draft, and the class isn't super deep. So if it can only hurt me and not really help me, my job is to make the smartest business decision possible. And in a lot of these instances, it is a really smart idea to not go out there and risk you getting hurt or hurting your draft stock. And you have tape. Let's be honest, these guys go out there in spandex and run around. Like, there's so many non-football things that happen at the Combine. Like, just like with Pro Day. How many quarterbacks? Look at Zach Wilson. Boy, Zach Wilson ran around in his underwear without pads on and a pass rush and threw good. And everybody's like, oh, look at how great this is. It's really not football. Like, you have tape. That's why in the Senior Bowl, the practices are even more important than the game.
Yes.
Like, you at this point, you're a pretty well-known commodity. A lot more of it is the mental side in the meetings, and then going through your background and seeing if there's any character flaws. Like, who showed up to your birthday party last year? Like, that's more important than me watching you go around run around in a leotard, doing really non-football things or throwing on air. A lot of guys look great throwing on air. I played with a pitcher that, man, you didn't put a batter in there. He looked like Greg Maddux. You put a batter in there, he looked like Rachel Maddow.
You just pointed out 7-on-7 for me in high school recruiting, which is big now. That's where a lot of dudes are getting their offers from, is just from these 7-on-7 tournaments nowadays.
Well, it's like sitting there and deciding you think a guy's a great basketball player in a game because he's good at horse.
Yeah.
Like that's not the real thing. Like, it's totally different to play 5-on-5 basketball than it is to play horse or around the world.
Jake, I'm glad I brought up 7-on-7 on this. Is college recruiting more focused on your 7-on-7 tape now rather than what you do on the field? Because I feel like there's more and more kids that are being offered because of 7-on-7 tape and their measurables instead of what they do on the field.
No, I don't think it's gotten to that point. Now, look, I've been in those recruiting meetings. I did it for 10 years at the Division I level. You will take a chance on some guys that are bigger, that their tape may not be great, because you feel like you can develop them. You're going to get them in a college weight program. You're going to be the one coaching them. They're going to be playing against better players. So, iron sharpens iron. As far as 7-on-7, you can tell some things, right? Like watching, right. You can tell arm strength, and that's something that you can see. Accuracy, without a pass rush. I know there's a time clock or whatever, but you can still see some accuracy. You can see guys get in and out of breaks, and there's something you can get. But again, it's not truly the real thing. And, that's what makes football the ultimate team sport to me, is that it's 11 guys moving as one organism, whether it's on offense or defense. To me as a coach, the most important part of 7-on-7 was working on the quarterback's reads, was making sure we understood what coverage we're running and seeing how our coverage develops as the play develops offensively from a defensive standpoint, making sure guys know routes. It's great for option routes, reading leverage and working on that timing. So it was more of a schematical thing for me than it was hey, I got to offer this kid because of his 7-on-7 tape. Some guys can go out there in 7-on-7, know they're not going to get hit and look amazing. But when you ask them to go across the middle in the game and they're going to get their teeth knocked through the back of their throat, that's going to change some minds.
Yeah, that is the truth there. Let me ask you this relating to combine-wise. Heard a lot of Cam Ward and Big Ben Roethlisberger comparisons. What do you see?
Look, I think they're a lot different. I think Roethlisberger, from a fundamental standpoint, was further ahead of Cam, but I think Cam's more athletic. I think the position's so different nowadays too. Not that Ben couldn't throw off platform, and he could, but the thing about Roethlisberger was obviously he had a cannon for an arm. Cam's got a really good arm, but you could have 3 guys hanging on Ben Roethlisberger and he could still get the ball off. I think Cam goes about it a different way. Right. I think Cam Ward's the best quarterback. I really believe that. If I was the Titans, I'm either taking Cam Ward or trading that pick. I'm doing one of the two things. Not that I think Shedur's a bad player. Not that I think Jackson Dart's a bad player. But to me, it's pretty obvious that Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft class.
I think last year was, I wouldn't say that. This year and next year, I think with the number 1 overall pick, I do see this one kind of getting traded. Because I've heard rumors about Titans potentially trading the number 1 pick. Do you see this year and maybe next year with whoever is getting the number 1 pick potentially trading them? Because I know they've been talking about getting a generational type of talent. But if you can get a guy like Cam, if you can get more draft pieces as well, it would definitely help you out. But at the same time, this is still a kind of a razor thin class. This year and next year, offensive line depth is not the best. Quarterback wise, you've got 2 guys that are once in a generation type of talent. I will say though, Jackson Dart showed out at the Senior Bowl this past month, and I was really impressed by him. But is this one of those years where we could potentially see back-to-back years of trading the number 1 pick, or is this going to be one where the Titans are solid at number 1?
Well, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know exactly what the Titans are going to do, but I think it being a razor-thin quarterback draft class is a huge benefit for the Titans if they want to trade the pick, right? Because, again, if you're one of these teams that has to have a quarterback, and we know there's some out there, you look at the Giants, you look at the Raiders, I can go down the list. If you're the Titans or you're the Browns, sitting there at 2, having a razor-thin draft class at quarterback, I think could give you even more in a trade, and you could almost kind of double up or get more than you would, obviously, if the class was last year's quarterback class, and you had more viable options if you didn't get the first couple of guys. Obviously, you have to have a plan in place if you're Tennessee, because Will Levis is not the answer. I mean, we've sat here on Crane and Company and said that for 3 years. Again, another guy that looked great in his underwear throwing the ball. Looked amazing, right? But I'll never trust a guy that puts mayonnaise in his coffee and eats bananas with the peel on. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't see that one coming. So could you get an Aaron Rodgers who has a house in Nashville to come and kind of carry that water for a couple years until you feel like you have to make that generational draft pick at 1 or trade up to get it? Or do you say, listen, Cam Ward just can't miss, and we need to make the move now? We don't, can't afford to trade this back and take a chance on an older guy, whether that's Aaron Rodgers, you look at Sam Darnold, some of these other guys, whatever. If it was me and I was Tennessee, it's hard for me to give an answer because I don't know what other teams are willing to give up or how much they're going to give up. But if I'm going to give up that first overall pick, I'm going to need a first round from you this year, and then your first round next year at least to give up that number 1 overall pick. If I'm not getting that, then Cam Ward, hey, welcome to Tennessee, bro.
Jake Crane of Crane and Company hopping on with us inside the huddle once again. Jake, the GM role in college football has really evolved. You see Texas Tech being dominant in the portal this year with their GM. Notre Dame, the GM there, has been fantastic. Now Jim Nagy goes to Oklahoma, which I thought was probably, in collegiate all-star game perspectives, probably the best GM of them all. Mm-hmm. And I think the impact that he's going to make with Oklahoma when it comes to recruiting-wise and when it comes to – because I lack the knowledge of what a GM actually kind of does in college football, but I'm pretty sure it kind of regards to the recruiting side. Does it sprinkle in a little bit of NIL as well?
Yeah, it's kind of all encompassing. As far as the GM position, this isn't something that's brand new in college football. Like you mentioned, it's been happening. It's keeping up with the Joneses. If one team, big team's got a GM, the other one's got to get one. We know how that works in college football. So, but it's not as much about the position to me as it is the person who fills the position. And as you brought up, Jim Nagy is the number 1 overall pick to me. What he did with the Senior Bowl, he's unbelievably organized. He's a great football mind. He's a great dude. We've known him for a long time. He's always been really good to us. He's very disciplined, and he knows what he's looking at. He understands the evaluation process. And as far as what he's going to be asked to do, it's all encompassing. And don't forget, Oklahoma's given him a full support staff, including an assistant GM as well. So it's going to handle recruiting. It's not just new players to come to the team, but players that are on the team. It's going to focus on evaluation, what goes into the NIL, obviously working with the scouts in the NFL and getting more eyes on their guys, which is going to help in recruiting. So it is a full role. This is not one specific thing. It's not, we're just dealing with high school recruiting. It's also roster management, which we don't talk about enough in the college football sports media space. One of the things Nick Saban was the greatest in the world at, and one of the things that made him the most successful, was because he was incredible at roster management. And now more than ever, with the transfer portal and having to recruit guys and keep your guys, it's never been more important to sustain success. Like it used to be with the old transfer rules. Well, you had a pretty good idea if this guy was going to leave or not. He knew he had to sit a year. It talked him into staying. Now it's free agency after the end of each season. I hope that gets fixed eventually. But it is a much needed new wing in the college football building. And I couldn't think of a better guy to lead it than Jim Nagy.
Jake, couple more things for you before we let you go, brother, because you mentioned about how things need to change when it comes to basically free agency in college football. And I said this a couple times on my show. By the time we get to the 2030s, this is kind of a bold take. The NCAA will not be around anymore. We will merge to a super league. We will not have the NCAA because of this. They're losing the lawsuits in the courtroom. They're getting their handed to there. The players now have more free range when it comes to NIL. The NCAA is not limiting them anymore. And we're getting closer because of their corruption with women's sports. I'm sure that makes it even more of wanting to be in a Super League. But anyways, am I wrong for saying this? If I am, it's fine, because I just see this eventually becoming a Super League in college football where we have CBAs, where we have NIL dominating. The portal is wide open a lot. I'm sure that there's a lot of restriction that will still be there once you get into the portal. But I think by that time, we will have some sort of sustainability in there. Yeah. But, Jake, let me get your thoughts on this. Am I wrong for saying the NCAA may not be around by the 2030s?
No, I think you're right. I don't think it's a hot take at all. I think it's what's going to happen. I hope it happens, before 2030. The NCAA, as you mentioned, they have no teeth now. Heck, I'm trying to think the last time they won anything in the courts, and the college football didn't need the NCAA. Now they're a unnecessary evil right now over college athletics. So to your point, what I think is going to happen, and it's similar to what you just brought up, was we will have this breakaway, this Super League. The amount of teams, 50, 60, I'm not sure on that. We'll see when it happens. But what I think you're going to see is you finally can get guidelines and structure. Look, players should get paid for name, image, and likeness. Oh, yeah. I get paid for name, image, and likeness. They offer a ability that not many people have. They need to get paid for that. They need to get paid for jersey sales and this, that, and the other. So I'm all for NIL, but we need to treat this like businesses get treated. So the players want it in the business. That's great. You're in the business. But there's two sides to the business. So now when you sign that national letter of intent to play for a team in that Super League, you are adhering and signing that you will follow the guidelines of the Super League. I think it's going to clean up the transfer portal, which, I've got a whole diatribe on that, how to fix it. And I don't want to take all your time today explaining that, but you can see on Crane & Company, we talk about it all the time. I don't think it'll have to do with NIL unless there's a salary cap, because what I'm hoping NIL turns into is what it was meant to be. It's that.
Do you think TV revenue will be involved with the amount of money each school gets?
Yeah, well, of course, it's going to have to be. I mean, that's what's going to be pushing the breakaway the most, in my opinion, from the NCAA. But as far as NIL, it needs to be what it was supposed to be. Where if I'm the quarterback at Alabama and Dr. Pepper wants to give me a deal, Dr. Pepper's people reach out to my people, not the school. They reach out to my people and we do a deal. The problem with the NIL is that we created the school as a middleman. They said, you know what? We'll just funnel all the money and turn it into pay for play. Like, you don't need to be sponsored by Alabama. Now, if Nike, who's with Alabama, wants to sponsor you, that's great. That's Nike's people sponsoring you. That's what NIL is. Not, hey, come here and play and we'll give you $200,000 from our collective. That's not what it was supposed to be. Hopefully that's what it turns back into. We'll see, the Department of Education put out guidelines, then they retracted them. I hope we get rid of the Department of Education too, but that's a story for another day. They're right there with the NCAA to me. But maybe that Super League and that breakaway will provide more structure. And then contractually, I think the NIL can actually help the transfer portal. Because in any other business, if you don't do what you say when you sign the contract, you've got to give the money back. So if I'm offering an NIL deal to you and you decide to leave where you were, okay, there's a penalty for that up to a certain amount of time, whether it's a year, whether it's 2 years or whatever. Hopefully that'll work and fix the free agency that we have in college athletics, because that's what it is. Think about it. What if everybody in the NFL just had a 1-year contract every year? That's what it is, and that's just it's not sustainable.
No. And it's going to cost the school more money when it comes to that. I think with the fine print, once you get once you sign that NLI, like you mentioned already, Jake, you've got to stay at the school for a certain amount of years. If you violate those agreements, your NIL contract is basically terminated. All the money that you have, you got to give back to them.
I agree with that 100%. That's how business works. That's how it's always worked. We just don't have that right now.
Jake, last thing for you. You watch UFL?
Look, I'll rep the Stallions.
There you go. There you go. I'll be heading to Birmingham in April, but we're starting our tour going around the UFL. We'll be heading out to Houston for Friday Night Lights for the
Have you been to a UFL game yet?
Yeah, I went to Birmingham.
How cheap is the beer and food? I've always wondered that. Or is it like me going to a Braves game where it's super expensive?
Unfortunately, Jake, I just turned 21 last month,
then you're about to find. Yeah, you've never drank before that. I'm sure. My fault.
I just don't drink.
Good for you.
But I don't think it should be. It shouldn't be too expensive.
I just wonder, like, is it more like the minor leagues where the concession food is cheaper and then the major leagues it's really expensive? Or is it just as expensive? I think it'd be smart to make it less expensive.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be as expensive now, just knowing that it's a spring league. I mean, it makes sense. But
have like $2 beer night.
That would generate a whole hell of a lot of fans, wouldn't it? That's what the UFL has been lacking.
Yeah, look, turn it into a party.
Jake Crane of Crane & Company joining us once again inside the huddle. Jake, friend, always a pleasure having you on, brother. Have a great rest of the week, and let's have a great start to the month of March.
You as well. March Madness. It's almost here. I absolutely love it. Appreciate it, Lucas.
All right, Jake. Good to see you, brother.
See you, man.
Jake Crane of Crane & Company hopping on with us once again. Always a pleasure talking to Jake. All right. So, like I mentioned kind of already, when we talked about the combine and such, but when you talk about a guy that should be underrated in us, you need to look at a guy like Alfred Collins. Because Alfred Collins' film is incredible. Extend, peak, release. And we're right there in the backfield. Look, Alfred Collins is an unbelievable specimen as a defensive lineman. And the guy can flat out play. The guy is an unbelievable talent that many people need to look out for in this year's draft. That's an underrated guy that I would say. All right, that's going to do it for us here inside the huddle. Y'all have a great rest of the day. Thank you again, Jake, for hopping on. We'll see you guys.